Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Texas Motor Speedway for the final race, the 27th race in the 2020 NRSL Jerky Pro Truck Series. The time is now to crown a champion. It was done here in 2019. It was Logan York who finished in second place and won the championship. 2018 season-long season, James Qualls came away with the championship then. And in 2017, we had our Final Four race at Homestead. Philip Goldberg took the title that year. One thing all those drivers have in common is they won a race. Could that change today? We've got 4 drivers in the Final Four. Andrew Rich with 3 wins on the season. Yael Carillo with 2 wins on the season. And James Ellison, 3-year veteran, with 2 wins on the season. And then there's Keith Rich, the 4th-year veteran. It's his final season of the Jerky Pro Truck Series. He has not won in 2020. Could he win the championship without winning the race today? Me and my boy, Vince Freeze, are about to find out. Vince, who's your pick for Texas today?
Gotta be Andrew Rich. And I was going to do a quick intro. 4 drivers, 1 race, 1 champion. It's been a long 2020. Let's see who gets this. But yeah, I got Andrew Rich on the outside. I like his mile-and-a-half presence. I think the team will have a good strategy call, and he's around his 2 main competitors right there to see how their trucks are. I got to go Andrew Rich.
Indeed, Andrew Rich starting in 30th, just behind son Keith Rich and another competitor you mentioned there, a true rookie, Yael Carillo. Of course, Andrew, with his experience from the Cup Series, is helping his rookie campaign this year in the Truck Series, but it's a one-and-done rookie campaign for Andrew. And then, of course, Keith isn't coming back either because he was running, or has been running, as a rookie full-time in the Cup Series this season. Let's get you to your starting lineup before we go into any more details here. Nate Rogers, Cup Series driver, on the pole for the final race this season. Next to him, Jack James. Row 2 is Johnny Gardner, who has only had 1 top 10 in 6 races this season. Can he change that around and get a win today? Next to him, 2-time winner on the season, Audra Baranauskas. Row 3, Colt Hudson and James Ellison, the highest of the final 4, starting position-wise. Row 4 is Casey Nanico and Gene Sanford. And in row 5, he finished second here last year to win the title. That's Logan York. And 3-time race winner on the season, Carter Friesen. And the man who won this race last year is right behind him, Donovan Cage, starting in 12th. Edwin Mendez starts to Cage's inside there in 11th. Mendez won this race in 2017 and finished second in this race in 2018. And here is the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
As the drivers will peel off a pit road, every race in this history at this track has finished under green. The smallest margin of victory was last year, 0.120 seconds. Cage won over Logan York. The biggest was 2018. Qualls won by 0.343 over Mendez. Every year the races have gotten longer at this track for the Truck Series. This year it's the same length as last year, 84 laps. And, Vince, you said you think it's going to be Andrew Rich. I'm thinking Keith Rich. Just the consistency is going to pay off, but strategy is going to be the huge card to play today.
That's the problem. If you don't, we have to look at the teams that have just done better on strategy. I think Andrew Rich, with that experience in the Cup Series, and he knows that strategy's been important all season. I got to go with that, and we'll talk about the field window numbers in a bit as we enter the final green flag of the season for these truckers.
Getting ready to go green. 15 different winners through 26 races. Green flag is out. Will we see a 16th different winner? Through 3 and 4 for the first time, it'll be Nate Rogers leading lap 1. And Gardner will go right for the lead here on lap 2.
Yep, to speed here, looking at that overlay in a second, see how fast they're going and how much braking they are using in these corners.
Hudson will make it 3 wide for second place behind them after the 54 and the 13 got a run. But 3 wide is not very efficient off of turn 4.
Here's one of our championship contenders, James Ellison, sneaking on the inside behind Cole Hudson.
He managed to get to the bottom, so there you see about down to 158 in 1 and 2, down to 174 in 3 and 4. As Cody Rhodes has had a mechanical issue, and it looks like to have affected Dylan Ibrahimian. I noticed right on the green that the inside line about row 15 on back was held up from something, and it appears that it was the 10 truck with an issue. Want to talk about some of the predictions that were made before the season began, and one of those was that Colt Hudson would have a second-year slump. Well, he's not showing a slump today, but the driver that finished 16th in the points in his rookie season enters this race 25th and has yet to win a race in 2020. In fact, I don't think he won a race in 2019 either.
Hudson on a little win slump, that's for sure, a little winless streak. We'll see if he can close the one out with the bang here at Texas.
Well, it is no winless streak. He has just never won a race before.
Oh, no, okay. One of those, still looking for that first victory.
Look at this. James Ellison, winner at Atlanta. 2 races ago, riding the momentum streak. He wrecked out at Pensacola, but that's not hindering him today. He's going to the lead, and he's got last year's champion pushing him in the 33 of Logan York. York will return to this ride on a part-time basis in 2021 as he shifts his focus to Cup.
Gotta say right now, Zach, James Ellison, that car in clean air, we've seen it, the one thing factor. Once that thing gets out in or a truck in clean air, he sometimes sets sail. I'll have to look into that more as we get this race going. We also have, like I said, the pit crews, and let's see how far those guys are coming up to the other 3 contenders. We'll look at that in a second as well.
Yeah, well, you said it right, Vince. I mean, this track's a different kind of intermediate. 1 and 2, you know, you're going so much slower than you are in 3 and 4. There's really no big chance for the draft to get you a run through 1 and 2 or off turn 2 into 3. You kind of have to get that draft run through 3 and 4 and then on the front straightaway. As York will make a move for the lead here, coming to lap 8. And we mentioned Edwin Mendez's success at this track. Two races in the Truck Series, a first and a second. Could he get a 3rd place today, or will he get another win? As going back to some final preseason predictions, the final 4 prediction I had was Logan York, James Ellison, Aja Baranowskis, and I quote, a rookie, maybe Catano or Ice. So, completely wrong about Baranowskis and York, though they've had pretty good seasons regardless. Even though York has not won a race, he's looking for the lead right now. And kind of half right with the whole rookie thing. We do have a rookie in the final 4, but it's not Ice or Catano. It is Yael Carillo. Only other prediction to really go over, or 2 other predictions, was the playoff 12 would consist of 4 rookies. We had 5 rookies, and then veterans would win the majority of the season. That is false. Entering this race, we've had 14 rookie wins, so we cannot have more than 13 veteran wins, and that is it for the predictions from at the beginning of the season compared to now.
While you were talking, Logan York got the lead, Ice coming. But, yeah, those predictions are crazy, man, to be honest with you. I think the rookies, they just showed up this season. And even though I wasn't here at the start of the season, per se, just the races I've done, they've definitely shown potential. And look at Yael Carillo, right? He's a great example for JGR. The only Toyota, I believe, racing for this Final 4.
And so Rhodes is out with a piston issue. Let's go to the back of the field. Andrew Rich has been unable to move forward, and the same can be said for Carillo. They are both outside the top 30. So where is Keith Rich? And he appears to be moving forward. He's there on the inside line, currently up to 18th place. You think about it, it's a truck in traffic, Vince. You know, does he have anything for James Ellison, who has now fallen to 6th place?
I think, well, we're going to find out that first pit stop. We haven't talked about the fuel window yet or any type of strategy, but as of right now, this car, or this truck, seems to be the best of the Final Four in traffic. Clean air, I think Ellison, no. When he's got that clean air, he's set sailing.
Fastest lap on the day goes to Sam Young, a 29.835. He's a couple positions behind Keith Rich here. Keith Rich's time, however, I'm looking for it as Thomas will put him to the outside. And his time is 32nd on the charts. Ellison's time is 19th on the chart. But of course, traffic versus no traffic is a big difference.
Yeah, once you're out there in clean air, you have the whole track to you. Right now, Rich, the other Rich, and Carillo are in the hornet's nest.
We're talking about some silly season stuff. Junior Motorsports, of course, was mentioning how they wanted winners on their team. Ellison has not been confirmed back to the 48, but it's very likely he will be, considering he's won 2 races and made the Final Four. But the other end of that is Lucas Catano. And Catano, entering this race, sits 27th in the points with a win and an opportunity to get as high as, I believe, 22nd. So if you can get a good enough finish, we could see Catano top 25 in the points. As Nate Rogers is now falling down. He is outside the top 10. And forgot to mention that when these tires get wear, being on the outside through the quad oval gets really tight. And you'll lose a lot of positions if you're stuck there on the top. So we'll head back to the front. First truck inside the top 10 is Donovan Cage. Here's Michael Markle, who's had a hot streak as of late. He's running in 9th. RJ Bishop 8th. There's Ellison in 7th. Gardner, Hudson, Cole Baker has made it up to 4th, as Benjamin Ice runs in 2nd. But they're all chasing last year's champion, Logan York, here on lap 17 of 84.
Logan York must have the setup dialed in. Here's a JGR contingent. Cole Baker, Benjamin Ice, they're looking to wake up the front. I saw one thing when we went to that live shot with Ellison. I think his tires are starting to wear. Did he use his stuff early? He's going to start falling back to that pack.
And he is there on the outside of the quad oval, and just mentioned how much of a hindrance that can be. But Cole Baker is challenging Ice for 2nd. Now Hudson looking for 4th place from Mendez. But Mendez with the run on the outside, but you can see Baker has more grip than Benjamin Ice. Mendez committing to the top side, but watch, his truck might get tight right here, and yes, it does. And then there's the small effect of the quad oval. And that effect only gets worse with more tire wear, Vince.
Well, yeah, I agree. And I think the tire wear, that might influence the fuel winning. We may not see trucks going that full fuel stint. They might take a lap or 2 early. We'll see.
Well, with the tire fall off, they're already at 2.5 here. 84 lap race goes green from start to finish. You're not going to want to run the full stint on either stint, honestly, because you'd better off splitting this race in stints of 27.
That would definitely make it a 2-stop race. Anything lower than that, we might run into a little problem, but we'll see.
Or correction.
Ellison is,
stints of 28. Sorry, go ahead.
no, Ellison fell outside the top 10. Those tires were shot, I think.
And there he is. He's trying to hold off Gene Sanford for 11th. He actually managed to do it there off of turn 4. Because Keith Rich, man, he is right there in 18th place.
Rich needs some help from his teammate right there, Baranowski's maybe Doesn't go by. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, I like where Keith Rich is at. I'd rather be the stalker. You know, I wouldn't rather be the guy out front right now. I'd rather be the stalker.
Looking at the rest of the running order, and still no luck for our other two Final Four contenders. Carillo running in 34th, and Andrew Rich at the back in 40th. And the intermediate ace to be running 40th here in the Jerky Pro Truck Series, man. Not what this team wanted.
Nah, that's disappointing. I think they either missed the setup or they really must be looking at some gamble pit play. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but that's their only shot right now, some pit play.
Well, the window usually in the Cup Series is anywhere from 31 to 36 laps. Down here in the Truck Series, I believe it's around 30 to 32. So we're about 10 laps away from pit stops. But if Andrew Rich can use the draft to stretch it on this first run and potentially enter pit road with nobody in front of him, he could not only gain a lot of time, but he would have the freshest tires on the track as well. So that's the strategy game you play, especially with this pit road. Look, it's right there. And that line, you can lose so much time if you're behind a lot of other drivers going into pit road.
The catbird seat, who knows, right? And that's the thing. We know strategy is always going to be a wild card. And the way this race is looking, it's going to be incident free for the most part. But we'll see.
Nate Rogers, fastest in practice, started on the pole, has fallen to 26th. And then fastest in happy hour was Ibrahimian, and he got held up by Cody Rhodes. If anyone's going to gain time entering pit road, it's the 12 truck because he's 6 seconds behind the pack. Haven't mentioned the battle for 13th or the battle for 5th. Coming into today's race, the battle for 5th looks as such. It's Jeremiah Dwayne with a 15-point gap over Donovan Cage, and then a 31-point gap over Cole Baker. Sam Young 32 and Mendez 35 points back each. As Keith Rich falling back on the outside there. Where is the 92 truck? Ellison challenging back on Bishop. And I believe Dwayne is near the rear. And yes, indeed, he is 32nd. And we know Baker is running in second place, and it looks like he has been challenging Logan York for this race lead. Hudson running in third. Johnny Gardner fourth, Bishop fifth, and Ellison, Vince, back up to sixth place.
Maybe he saved those tires. Maybe it was a strategy, right? Don't go as hard as, in the first part of the stint. Towards the back half of the stint, save those tires, and I guess just hold back in the draft, maybe for some more fuel mileage. We'll see. I like that. I like that strategy.
The fall off is about at 2 seconds now on the tires, and there you see what a run on RJ Bishop through 1 and 2. He's going to peek the nose in there for fifth. Remember, the points reset. There's no playoff points in the Final Four. Whoever finishes the highest out of the Final Four drivers wins the championship. But, man, how about Logan York? You know, just take a look at his season coming into today. He enters the race 24th in the points. He was top 20 at one point, but he's just had a string of bad luck as of late. 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s for the 2019 champion. Was a rookie champion at that and won 2 races. Has not been able to find victory lane today. Will he change that? Cole Baker's trying to get a run again right now. Top 5 single file. Cage in 7th, looking for 6th. As Greg Torres is the last man in the top 10. Looking back again for Keith Rich. He's inched forward again, up to 16th place now. But pit stops are right here looming on lap 29.
It held up a little bit there. Pretty goes high. But yeah, I think this is it. You were almost in that window, and at this point, your bet is made. Does someone pull the overcut? Does someone try to get enough distance with the undercut? But we see someone just go radical and try to stretch this thing 2 extra laps or something like we've seen all season. We've seen that. And also be wary of the pit road exit and entrance precautions.
Yes, and when trucks come up on track, coming into turn 3, if someone's already there, that's when things can get hectic. we saw last year in the Digital Storm Cup Series. Someone got turned into the outside wall as Logan York.
Here we go.
First one down pit road. Johnny Gardner will follow him in. And they appear to be the only two down here coming to lap 31. Oh, Ibrahimian, who's been by himself, will come to pit road. That gives the lead to Cole Baker. Ellison's the third man in line out here on the track. So it's a very small group choosing to pit at the earliest. But Cole Baker will slow it down and lead in the second pack. As Donovan Cage is going to miss the commitment line, that will be a penalty. Gene Sanford doing the same thing.
Oh, my.
That is going to be a huge penalty for the 8. So Sanford and Cage are looking at 30-second holding penalties for missing the commitment line. Carrillo's down pit road.
Where's Rich?
Michael Markle remaining on track. He'll lead the third and likely final group down as McShane will peel in here. Had to get to the inside there. And there is Andrew Rich at the back of this third group. And there's Logan York already done with his pit stop. Now I want to see where Ibrahimian comes out in all of this, because he was 6 seconds behind the field, but he pit by himself with the first group. So he's on the undercut. No one was in front of him. I'm curious to see if Ibrahimian gets any positions out of this. And it looks like he will. He's passing Yael Carillo right there. And it looks like Cole Baker had a poor pit stop. But
Ibrahimian was the fastest in Happy 10 or Happy Hour, so he's got a truck that can do something. We'll see if he's got the track position now.
But back to what I was saying, Cole Baker has plummeted in the running order. He's back behind Nate Rogers, as Carrillo was hurt tremendously too. And there's Gene Sanford. There's what that 30-second penalty did. Yeah, she gained so much time cutting through the grass, but she had to give it all back, and so did Donovan Cage. As Logan York now leads, it's him and Johnny Gardner with a 4-second gap back to Colt Hudson. As Max Anderson has fallen a lap down. So there it is, Vince. First round of stops done. Carrillo 38th. It looks like with maybe an issue on pit road. Andrew Rich, not much better, 33rd. Ibrahimian, though, making out up to 31st. But looking for our other Final Four drivers. Oh, Keith Rich appears to be up the running order. There he is. Running in 9th place.
He's right there. He's right there on Ellison. He's only 3 spots away.
3 spots away, about a second and a half. As they're very racy up here for 3rd place. And trying to lead the charge up to Gardner and York, who are right now a 2-car breakaway. Michael Marco led in the 3rd and final group, and he's in 8th place, only 6 seconds back. Dylan Thomas will move into 3rd. So speaking of that battle for 13th in the points, Michael Marco is one of the main drivers going at it. He enters this race 14th in the standings, 5 points behind LJ Toledo. Leland Fief enters 27 points behind Toledo. Adam Flickinger 34. Ibrahimian 38. And then Dylan Thomas right on the edge, 55 points back. Keith Rich now up to 8th place. It's Ellison passing Hudson for 5th. Now remember, the battle might be on right here, right now, but these drivers still have to pit one more time and how they choose to pit, when they choose to pit, that's going to be the big card to play. The window opens up right at 30, 32 to go. It's going to be about lap 53 to 55.
Game's over if you have pit road penalty, too. We saw that in the first round. Got to make sure you hit your marks, as that will be the money and last stop of the year for the most part, unless you have damage.
Anderson unlapping himself on Logan York. That's the tire difference playing right there. And you can see Thomas has already cut the lead under 4 seconds. So what you gain on that undercut is huge, but you know, when you have a full run, that undercut is going to go away slowly over the course of the run. But so what you want to do here, definitely considering this isn't a full 3-run race, is on this second run, you want to cut this run short so that you undercut even more for the third and final run. But the risk you're going to play is if there's a caution and you're not on the lead lap, you're going to be stuck a lap down. And on top of that, you're probably going to have to pit again because now you've got the worst tires in the package right on you.
You just see York losing that gap to third place. And I don't know, maybe that lap traffic isn't helping the degradation of the tires. Well, we'll see. And as we say that, Rich is up to 7th. He's right there now on Ellison.
And I think Anderson's draft is actually helping York and Gardner from the time they're losing on their tires. And you mentioned it, Keith Rich passing James Ellison for the championship position.
Huge implications right here. We thought Ellison was out there out front cruising, but now he's got to do some work, especially because we hit this last pit stop. Big move on the inside, too.
I'm not sure if Keith Rich pit in the third group with Markle or the second group with the others. But if he did, he is the one charging right now, as Markle has been unable to do anything. Markle was actually passed by Keith Rich. And how about Andrew Rich? We know Andrew stayed out at a long time too. There's the 23. He's up to 31st. Carillo still suffering back in 38th. But now you see Ibrahimian, who undercut his two lap older tires compared to the 23, are hurting him. And not just him, they're hurting Andrew Rich too. Racing all around the racetrack, though, due to the tire strategy. As there's LJ Toledo trying to get 13th in the points over Michael Markle. Right now he is falling backwards. He'll lose 15th to Sam Young here if he doesn't get a good run off of turn 2. There's the run. But he won't get to the inside as Jack James makes a move on Matthew Logan. As now Ellison continuing to fall. Right to the bottom of the top 10. Keith Rich up to 4th place as it's gotten very quiet in the booth.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these times and just looking at some of these lap times and the difference. I thought Logan York would have more tire fall for second, though. He gained it back to 4.2 tenths. So maybe it's just an ebb and flow. I'm not sure what's going on with these tire wear. But Rich right now looks like he's on a mission to possibly get third and maybe one good stop away from getting that win. Ellison knows. You see he's going down to the bottom. He knows it's time to go.
Ellison's trying to pass Michael Markle back, but I'm not sure if the tire difference will help Ellison. But Keith Rich is going to pass Bishop for third, and it looks like Keith Rich will be the one to lead the charge towards the top 2.
Gap's coming down too from first to third. We'll see what happens as this thing finally ages on the tires.
Marco gets a good run off for turn 2 and holds off the 48 of Ellison. As no one appears to be really charging towards the top 10. Mendez leads the first group outside the top 10. Benjamin Ice, Jack James, LJ Toledo, Sam Young, Matthew Logan, Audra Baranauskas, Henry Sanford. And then another jump back. As they were looking to go 3 wide for a second there, but instead it'll be LJ to the inside of the 13.
You see Sam Young, Matthew Logan looking to stay in that draft. Not much progress, I don't think, for Carillo and Andrew Rich. I think they're still back there just the way they've been executing that. I don't think they had the setup. And where is Rich? Yeah, he's still stuck. He's way back there.
Rich in 33rd and Carillo still 38th. Carillo actually falling a lot. Gardner and York are still a 2-truck breakaway. So I'm wondering if Carillo has damage or something because he is really off. It might just be the lack of draft. But he is about 5/10 off of Cage and Gene Sanford. But having Max Anderson in front of the leaders has really helped York and Gardner maintain their undercut.
I'm very surprised that this tire wear is not as much as I thought it'd be. I thought they'd be down to at least a second and a half by now, a second pack. But I guess, like you were saying, Max Anderson's draft is keeping those guys at bay.
Well, they are down a second and a half, but you know, Keith Rich is only about a 10th and a half faster there. They are starting to pull away. Now, remember, this second pack has been fighting for third this entire run. 20 laps now, you know, going on as they're about to enter the window. But Keith Rich doesn't need to worry about winning the race. He just needs to worry about the 48 of James Ellison.
Can't say he's not done it yet because Ellison's right there. He's just lurking. Now he's the stalker. We saw Rich was the stalker in the first run. Now Ellison's the stalker.
And even with this tire advantage for Keith Rich, you know, it's going to be hard for him to pull away because of the draft. You know, if it was the Cup Series, easily could pull away. Draft, not really a worry. Here in the Truck Series, it's a lot to do with your speed. But you see Keith has now cut the margin from him, the York, down to under 3 seconds. Let's take a look at what the margin is from Keith Rich to Andrew Rich. It is about 10 seconds from the 21 to the 23, and then the 18 is another 11 seconds behind that. As the leaders, yeah, there it is. Cage and Gene Sanford are going to catch Carillo. We'll see now that Carillo has some push draft, if that'll help his speeds at all, or if Carillo actually has an issue.
Down to 3 seconds. Rich is closing this thing.
And you know, right now it looks like York is actually driving away from Gardner with the help of Max Anderson, and that could plummet Gardner back to third place if he loses the draft of the 33.
Could be interesting right there. That could also hurt the pit stop delta too. We'll see what happens moving forward, but yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Right now they're charging though. Rich is coming. He's not back.
Gardner is right at the end of that draft window. He's about to lose the draft, as now they fight for fourth. It's Dylan Thomas, Priya McShane, and Ellison has managed to get back up to 7th. He's on the inside of Bishop for 6th. So Ellison just wants to make sure right now that he can still see the 21 when he makes his move to pit.
He's in prime position. Not going to lie, he's in prime position right now for that final pit stop. He just keeps it there. Because they're closing in. I mean, they're only 2 seconds back away from Gardner.
And Carillo has been passed by both Cage and Gene Sanford. We'll see now that he's in draft if he maintains with them here on the straightaways. The big question, if he has engine damage, he would continue to fall backwards. It looks like he's maintaining now. So just a lack of draft earlier. So we could be entering the pit window here soon. But Logan York has drafted his way away from Gardner with the help of lap truck Max Anderson. And you see Gardner lost a full 2/10 to the leader that time by. And in a moment here, Keith Rich will catch the 3 trucks draft. And that'll really accelerate his movement forward.
Ellison's on the outside of McShane.
Put Ellison up to 5th. So Ellison fell to the back of this group, all the way down to 10th. And now he's challenged right back to the front before pit stops. And that's where you want to be if you want to gain time on Keith Rich. He's going to look to the inside of Thomas now for 4th.
We got a championship, boys. We got a championship race. Here we go.
Last season, I believe we had a caution come out sometime after the pit cycle here. Hopefully that does not occur today. But it really shook up the fight last year and really just left it down to Logan York, and I believe it was Adam Flickinger that were in the Final Four last season. It really took Larry Hagan out of the running, and I cannot recall who the 4th driver was. But Ellison up to 4th. Thomas will get shuffled down to 8th. York and Gardner should be the first ones to pit road. We're at 23 to go this time by, and Keith Rich has caught Johnny Gardner.
Oh boy.
Now the longer you stay out as these top 2, the longer your tires, they're older. The time to undercut again is now. Ellison's moving high. Someone's coming to pit road, and it is Logan York. But Gardner's going to get stuck on the track. No, he's going to try and cut down. He misses the cone.
That's it for Johnny Gardner. We talked about pit stop execution. That's got to be, we got to look at moving forward. Oh, yeah, Yael's down.
Carrillo's down, likely because he was by himself most of the run. That gives the lead to Keith Rich. And now Ellison on the outside of Michael Markle.
Gotta be careful if he's trying to pit.
Who's coming to pit road? Keith Rich is. And Ellison's gonna cut so late. Like, why would you even cut that late?
That's a championship losing move.
I don't even think he's gonna get to his pit stall. Or he does. That's insane, though.
Unbelievable, man. We talked about execute. I've been talking about that since the... Oh, Rich stayed out, but... That's got to be the stupidest one I've seen in a while.
Michael Markle taking over the lead. I just don't understand that you've already missed the cone. Why would you turn down to pit road? Andrew Rich down the pit road. I mean, this thing is pretty much over now.
We get a caution.
There's Keith Rich. I mean, the 48 gained a ton of time, but that is a huge penalty for him. And there he is. He's going to be right at the end of this pack. So in draft, but, you know, Keith Rich is gone from him now. That was a costly mistake for James Ellison. And Adam Flickinger down pit road. I believe McShane and Michael Markle down ahead of him. As Logan York, I believe, will cycle back to the lead. And Keith Rich will be behind him in second. Now, if Keith Rich gets some draft, Vince, he's got the fresher tires. It might not be a full run, but if he can draft himself up to the 33, he's looking pretty good.
You don't have to win the race either. I would just stay right there. But if you want to go for that glory, why not, right? You got no one in front of you, the championship contender-wise.
Markle and McShane have come out of pit road. That cycles Logan York back to the lead. So he leads. Max Anderson behind him is a lap down. And then Keith Rich is there in second. So just like 2019, right now it appears anyway that just like 2019, we'll have a non-playoff driver win the race, and our Final Four contender finish in second, as the gap back to Adam Flickinger, RJ Bishop rather, is 3.5 seconds from Keith Rich. Thomas fourth, LJ Toledo fifth, Hudson sixth, Michael Markle seventh, freshest pair of tires, along with Priya McShane, as Baran-Oskus and Sam Young are looking for positions in the top 10.
Yeah, I was just going to say before you cut me off there, man, what was Ellison thinking? Like, he's going to be looking at that when he goes to bed tonight. Like, we cost ourselves the race, and all I had to do was just go an extra lap if he had to.
And he made the cut down move about right here, and it just makes no sense to me. You're on the outside line. You've already missed the commitment line. You just go another lap. And instead of being 21 seconds behind the leader, you're likely right there with Keith Rich.
Maybe, just maybe, he would have been ahead too. He had the strategy right. I mean, he was going to get a great run if he would have just stayed behind, entering pit road. And speaking of Rich, I mean, he's closing that gap down in York too. This may not be over the win, but championship out, I think it's all but said and done, barring a yellow.
Cage and Carrillo have gained some time back due to everyone spreading out from pit stops. I mean, Nate Rogers, Cole Baker, they were doing good earlier. They're at the back of the field. As here's the move that'll help Keith Rich. Anderson's trying to unlap himself again. Coming to 14 laps to go. Logan York's trying to win this race. And this is really helping Keith Rich. Think about it, Vince. I mean, there's no confirmation Keith Rich will run on a part-time basis in 2021. It's his final race in the series, and he hasn't won a race in the series since the 2017 finale.
You talked about that at the end of the last race, too. Keith Rich should find that finale magic. Maybe you foreshadowed it right there, because he is finding that finale magic.
And York is just trying to hold his own on the outside, but now Keith Rich is right here for the race lead, and Keith will try and help push himself and Max Anderson by the 33. But man, York is just fighting back on the outside.
Yeah, I think with the fresher tires on this run, I think York's a sitting duck for right now. He'll have to go tuck back in line and see what he can do.
Final Four contender Keith Rich to the race lead at 12 laps to go. Now, will they be able to keep away from this second group? You know, right now, LJ Toledo, man, talked about the battle for 13th. LJ's in very good position right here. Michael Markle's right behind him. So LJ looking very good right now, running in 5th, trying to hold off Hudson for that position. Good runs for Thomas, RJ Bishop. Bishop made the playoffs this year, but didn't have the best round of 12. Comes into this race 11th in the playoff points. And, you know, he was the most unsuccessful driver out of the playoff 12 with just 3 top 5s and 5 top 10s. But Bishop managed to be consistent, and he made it in on points.
Bishop, proven consistency does matter in this series, and when next season there's no chase. It's all experimental with the new point system, full from start race 1 to the end, right? Is that right?
That's right. Just like in 2018, which 2018 was only a 14-race season, 2021 will be a full season championship, 21 races from start to finish. So there will be no playoffs in 2021 for this series. Digital Storm Cup will still have a playoff format in 2021.
And if this all goes well, the next season after that, it might be no playoffs at all. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
Toledo will pass Thomas there. That'll move him up to 4th, and Hudson's looking to follow through for 5th as Michael Markle leads his group. You know, these guys have, I believe, the freshest tires. I know Markle and McShane do. So the 45 and the 19 trying to charge towards a potential top 5. But Baranauskas will look for 9th place on the 19 here. And there's Sam Young running in 11th. Yeah, man, I mean, James Ellison with one mistake. 19 seconds back and 31st. You know, he had it. He just had to worry about Keith Rich. Carillo had already made the same mistake. And Andrew Rich had been at the back the whole race.
Yes.
As Andrew runs in 25th place right now. It just was not the race for Andrew today. But it looks like son Keith Rich will get the win and the championship.
Rich won too, maybe. I'm going to count on Logan York, though. He's in the draft, and he seems to be keeping his own. That's interesting, even with the undercut.
Well, it looks like Keith put Anderson back a lap down, and now York has managed to get back by the 75 as well. So we'll have to see. I think right here, 1 and 2 is the corner where Anderson just has so much more grip compared to the 33. He'll be coming to 4 laps to go this time by, and it's looking like Keith Rich's race unless something crazy happens. Anderson will pass York back, as now LJ Toledo is challenging Bishop for 3rd.
What a run for LJ Toledo, right? At the end of this, the end of the regular season, he knew he only had one shot, and that's to build momentum for future seasons. And he's making his 52 team look good at the end of the season, especially in the playoffs. He turned the wick up.
Yep, him and Michael Markle really turned it up once the playoffs started. As Markle has caught this group. It's not over yet. 3 laps to go. 13th place in the position in the standings has just opened up. As at the end of this video, you'll see the points in their entirety with the format, the playoff format points, and then the total points accumulation standings, which is the full 27 race standings breakdown, which will show how many points a driver truly earned over the course of the season. And that'll show you your sort of owner's points situation, even though we don't have owner's points. But Markle's charging here. He's going to try and get to LJ Toledo, but I think it's just too little too late.
White flag.
White flag is out for Keith Rich. He leads it. He's looking for that championship.
Oh, he got held up there by Carillo a little bit.
And he's looking to lap fellow competitor Yael Carillo. Down into 3 and 4. Anderson's going to peek to his inside. York's on the bottom too. Checkered flag will be in the air. And your winner at Texas is Keith Rich and your champion. Closest finished in track history for the Jerky Pro Truck Series. And Anderson got back on the lead lap there right at the end.
Congratulations to Keith. What could have been his final swan song start goes out on top.
Not only the champion, but a winner, too. Second career win for Keith Rich. Second place will go to last year's champion, Logan York, who I think would have liked to have won the race this season. LJ Toledo third will get 13th in the standings. Dylan Thomas fourth. Matthew Logan 5th, Michael Markle 6th, Bishop 7th, Hudson 8th, McShane 9th, and Baran Auskus rounds out the top 10. The battle for 5th in the points. I'm not sure. It looks like Donovan Cage was hurt, 37th. Dwayne finished in 30th. Also, Andrew Rich finishing 27th, Ellison 31st after his mistake entering pit road. Looks like Nate Rogers had an issue there at the end. He fell a lap down and finished 41st. But so for Dwayne, 31 points on Cole Baker. Baker plummeted there at the end too. And I know I'm just not seeing anyone from the playoffs that was close. Edwin Mendez finished in 12th, but that's not enough. Sam Young 11th, also not enough. So I believe Jeremiah Dwayne will come away as 5th in the playoff points. But you'll get official confirmation of that here when the point standings show. But Vince, 2020 NRSL Jerky Pro Truck Series season is over. And it wasn't without a little bit of craziness, despite having no cautions.
Yeah, it was. Well, we did have that one major championship move, Ellison diving. I don't even know how to describe that. But other than that, Keith Rich just got to the front and he was set sailing. It's been a pleasure being a commentator in this booth. I came in mid-season around Springfield Dirt, I believe it was, and we had some good memories this season. I can't wait for future seasons and I guess my debut as well next season in the Truck Series.
Yes, Vince Freeze to the 12 Team Penske truck for next year. Ibrahimian will move over to the 22. I don't know if we've mentioned some of these silly season rumors. I get more and more every week, and sometimes it's just hard to keep up with everything. But the Rotary teams, that'll be known for certain now that this season is over, and we'll have a pretty good idea if we will have more than 42 trucks entering the 2021 season or not. But that'll do it for us here for this race. And we will both see you guys for tomorrow's Digital Storm Cup Series race, where we crown a champion. Seth Cole, Alexander Rowe, Alex Gray, and Samet Oskin. Those are the final four going at it. So we'll see you guys then.